Good evening, welcome to Fantastic Dimensions. We are kicking off a brand new Lamentations of the Flame Princess campaign called Rogues to Riches. So, I'll read a quick little introduction here, and then I'll call you guys out one by one. I'll call you by name so we don't stumble over each other, to just kind of describe your character and tell us, what, a little bit about them, what we see, or what the potential viewers may see as well in their mind's eye when they think of your character. So it is 1631. You guys will be starting off in the village of Sellingen, which is about 5 miles southeast of Karlstadt. The armies, pardon me, the armies of Gustavus Adolphus, King of Sweden, are advancing. Situated in the Holy Roman Empire, both Karlstadt and the surrounding area have been in turmoil for much of the past 13 years, caught up as they have been in the events of the 30-Year War. 6 months ago, Catholic forces sacked the Protestant city of Magdeburg after a long siege. 90% of the city's structures were destroyed, and over 20,000 of the city's citizens, which was over 80% of them total, were killed in the violence which lasted for days after the battle was properly finished. The Swedish army, led by Adolphus, landed in the Holy Roman Empire in 1630 and has been unstoppable in its advance against imperial forces. Some say that Adolphus is the savior of the Protestant cause. Others say that he's an opportunist seeking to expand the Swedish Empire. Karlstadt and Würzburg are strongly Catholic after efforts in the 1580s to drive out the Protestant heresy. In recent years, there have been many witch trials and executions. All told, the body count of the Würzburg witch trials was among the largest of the entire early modern age. The Swedish army is on the march to Würzburg, which is the region's most important political, religious, and, thanks to the Marienburg fortress, military center. Karlstadt is directly in the army's path, and many fear that the army is keen on taking revenge for the sack of Magdeburg. To complicate things, 10 days ago, the group of 7 sorcerers from in and around Karlstadt overthrew the town's ruling class and laid down their own law. There will be no more war. This involves the total disarmament of the people, the closing down of all of the churches. No means and no motivation. Countryside has mostly cleared out, anticipating total devastation at the hands of Gustavus. Those that can have left the region, many having fled to Würzburg, and as a result, Karlstadt has also become overcrowded. Only those who cannot leave and those who would take advantage of them remain in the outlying farms and villages. The people are angry, tired, and scared. The Swedes have learned of the sorcerers' uprising in Karlstadt and have diverted their main forces to take it, considering witchcraft to be worse than any intra-Christian conflict or ambitions of empire. The authorities in Würzburg are more than happy to let Karlstadt delay and weaken the invading force. So, as I said, you are in the village of Sellingen, and this small farming town has been largely abandoned as its inhabitants have gone either to Würzburg, which would be southeast, or to Karlstadt, northwest, depending on their allegiance and needs. The few dozen who do remain here are willing to sell simple goods for 10 times their normal book purchase price, if you will. Of course, this increase in price is due to the desperate situation, given the fact that you're, a dozen years into the 30 Years' War at this point. I will also, let's see here real quick with my little thing. I'll bring up a little, there's a kind of, I don't know if anybody can see that, but that's a display version of the map, which at least one of your characters I know has. So we'll take this chance now to go one by one and introduce your characters. I will just say that you guys were all former crew members on a smuggling vessel, which was kind of taking its own advantage of the situation with the war, and making a pretty good amount of money for a time until you were in port in Hamburg some time back, and the Swedes decided to confiscate the ship, confiscate its goods, confiscate all of your hard-earned money. The captain was summarily tried and executed for piracy, and most of the crew was also being rounded up to face the same fate. However, the 6 of you managed to flee and headed further south into the Holy Roman Empire in order to avoid the local Swedish authorities from Hamburg, because they have taken the city early in their incursions into the Holy Roman Empire. You do not know if the coming force, led by King Gustavus Adolphus, is aware of you. Chances are, this far from Hamburg, you're probably pretty safe as anonymity. Yeah, as that goes. But it may be something just to think about if you decide to have any dealings with the Swedes. They're in theory still like a week out anyway from arriving in the actual Karlstadt region, as far as you know. So you have some time before that becomes a serious and immediate issue. So, with all that in mind, we can go ahead and get some descriptions of your character. We'll start with, I'll just go from my left to right looking at the screen here. We'll go with Austin.
Francis is a fairly tall man with long brown hair that seems surprisingly well kept for the times and for the struggle that they've been under lately. And he's a pretty man, not a handsome man, but he's pretty. His face is sort of angular, and he clearly has the look of someone at least somehow descended from nobility. But it seems like, based on his attire, that it's been at least a generation or two since some sort of fall from grace. He definitely appears to be a vain man, but it may be the sword at his belt and the spears on his back that draw your eye more than his luscious locks.
Excellent. I've already dropped my first die on the floor. Okay, Jens, why don't you go next?
Yeah, I play Marius von Berg. He's a young cleric, like 24 years old. He's the follower of the Martin Luther, of the teachings of Martin Luther. And he's a Protestant. And he tries to he smuggles some papers from teachings of Martin Luther to the south of Germany, into the Catholic regions. So he's not an official cleric. He's a very mild person, and he tries to be a good person as possible, helping the poor. He comes from a rich family, but he lives as a poor person. He wears the collars of the poor and the clothes of the poor, and he joined the smugglers to get the opportunity to reach the southern regions of Germany at that time.
All right, very good. Merrick. You are muted, Merrick.
Ian, something is with your microphone.
Something's with my microphone? Can't hear me?
Yeah, you're really distant.
Hold on.
Like it's using a different microphone or something.
No?
Very far away. I can't hear you at all.
Is it possible you need to check the settings?
Any difference now?
Slightly, but not much better.
It's possible. Like I said, I busted part of the headphones earlier, so that could be it. Any better?
That sounds better, yeah.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Still kind of quiet, but...
Really?
Oh.
Son of a bitch.
Right there's good.
That's
Stay
good.
there.
Good now.
Don't move.
Don't move. Okay. So I was trying to say, Merrick, you're next, and you're
All
muted.
right.
But yeah, I guess I was muted or something. So.
Okay. I am playing Jasper Proud. He is a stocky man. He's got unkempt brown hair and a beard, dressed in chainmail. He's the kind of guy who enjoys a good fight, enjoys a good party, and there's not much more to him. He's fairly simple in that matter.
All right. Very cool. Just appearance-wise, is he wearing any kind of armor, carrying any weapons?
Yep, he's in chainmail. He's got a sword and shield, a dagger on his belt. He seemed to have come out of the whole situation with the Swedes a little better than some of the others in the party.
Yeah, I'd say chainmail. That's a luxury.
Mm.
All right. Felipe, your turn.
My guy is Veldison. He was going to be the wise or the sly, but I got that 6 intelligence. So illiterate, Spanish origins, raised in poverty in England. So kind of like a young Inigo Montoya, shorter hair, about that build. Managed to save 2 of his pistols in the process, and that's about it. So some leather armor, some pistols, and a sling kept at his side.
Oh, no melee weapons.
Nope.
All right.
Nope, couldn't quite.
Couldn't afford them after 2 pistols. Fair enough.
No, had to save those. Yep. I figured first person I kill, I'll get some melee.
Of course, yes, no problem.
Or I should say that Jasper kills.
Right, fair enough. All right, Philip.
You muted.
You are muted, Philip.
Sorry about that. Friggin' amateur hour. My character's name is Albin, a young man of Swiss origin, sort of a self-taught language enthusiast, someone with an obsession for language, and normal-looking guy. Appearance-wise, nothing special. Wearing chain armor, and carrying a crossbow and a halberd. Yeah, but obsessed with linguistics and using it as a key to open doors of learning, to not be held back by any kind of language barrier.
Nice. And with the chainmail and the halberd, that's an oversized item and chainmail, so you've got 2 pips in encumbrance already.
Right.
Plus probably carrying items. Yeah, you are lightly encumbered for sure. If not, maybe even a little more. But no, probably lightly encumbered. I don't think you've hit heavily encumbered yet, because you probably don't have that much other stuff.
Okay.
Cool. Good. That's an interesting build for a specialist. I've never seen anybody build a specialist like that, like with a lot of points into language and then wearing heavy armor. That's kind of cool. Yeah, it might save your life. All right, John. Last but not least.
Okay, I'm playing Diggory Whiteman. He was raised in England. He fled England after his sort of coming from a noble family. He sort of dabbled in various things that he perhaps shouldn't have when he was getting involved in academia, and found himself on the wrong side of the church in England. So when he got the opportunity to barter his talents aboard a ship and skip the country, he did. So he's wearing sort of quite, what would have once been quite good clothes, jacket, shirt, etc. But they're quite worn now. He didn't really have the chance to flee with many of his possessions. He's not really used to looking after himself, so his hair's all sort of messily cut. He's got sort of slightly tired looking, red rimmed eyes, bit of stubble. he always looks a bit nervous because he's used to having to like look over his shoulder, expecting like witch hunters or things like that to be bursting through the door. So he's always a little bit nervous and mainly tries to sort of like be unassuming and sort of stay out of the way of any violence, preferring to stand behind the people who are like clad in the full metal.
Excellent. Very good. Well, as I said, you guys find yourselves in the mostly now abandoned farming village of Sellingen. It is the morning of October the 8th, 1631. And you all, well, you know the situation. Well, you know the rumors anyway, with Karlstadt and Würzburg. And you have your map. You have your entire adventuring lives ahead of you. May they be long and prosperous. What would you like to do? As you break your fast in the morning together.
I pray.
I presume if we're having sort of breakfast, we're sat somewhere eating. Would we be in like a sort of barn, or like if there's like a local tavern or something like that? Whereabouts would we be located?
No tavern. You guys probably slept in a barn.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of places. A lot of the places are abandoned, so you were able to find one that you were able to squat in for the night for shelter. It being October, I mean, it's not gotten too cold yet. There's no snows or anything of that sort, but it still probably get pretty chilly at night in this part of the Holy Roman Empire. You can all mark off a day's rations from whatever rations you have. If anybody doesn't have rations, then you can beg your friends for some food or not eat.
I think one of the first things we need to do is find a way to secure some food.
If somebody doesn't have food, I would be happy to share some of my bread I have left over.
Well, I've got about a day's worth left. I mean, it was all I could carry with me from the ship, given the speed we had to leave at.
Yes, I wasn't able to get much either.
I'm in the same boat.
I've got about a week's worth, so I can probably float a couple guys.
Well, I mean, I not that I'm very proficient with it, but I do have this a bow and arrow I managed to take from the ship whilst we were hastily departing. I dare say if anyone's any good for hunting, perhaps we could maybe increase our rat. I've got to admit, I've got a map of the local area, but I really don't know much about the local game or anything like that. But if someone does, I've potentially got the equipment to do something about it.
Well, I can't say I'm much of a tracker, but I do believe I would be able to shoot the game if it were to be spotted.
Same here. So yeah, I'd be down for going out and see if we can rustle up some rabbit or I don't know, whatever might be out.
But
sure, there are actually still a few people around the village as well who
but
also
please,
are selling some food, but it's expensive. If you wanted to buy, for example, just some standard rations, essentially, it would be 10 silver pieces per day's worth of food per person. Wait, is that rural? No, that's city prices. I'm sorry, half that. Only 5 silver.
Yeah.
I say,
Per day.
there have to be some farms that were abandoned that have some food laying around. They couldn't take everything with them. Let's go scavenge there.
and please remember when you go hunting, the game belongs to the kings and to the rulers.
Yeah.
I think we may already be on the wrong side of some of the people in charge of these areas.
Yeah,
so
just say be careful.
a low profile. I understand.
Yes, I mean, I think if we did have the misfortune to be to be caught. Probably the piracy is going to weigh a lot heavier against us than whatever rabbits we've managed to rustle up. But I do see a point.
But to who? The locals? The army that's coming? The people that have fled?
It's a good point. I must confess I'm not entirely up on the local situation. I know a few bits and pieces that I've heard, but that's about it.
It does
Well,
appear to be somewhat of a no man's land.
We have passed a few farms that seemed empty, yes?
Oh yes, definitely.
Well, that's what I say. They must have grain stores that they've left behind.
Well, yeah, yes. I think you're right, Tim. We should certainly look there first. I mean, if there isn't anything there, there's nothing to stop us then seeing if we could hunt some game. But like you say, but perhaps we'll be able to scavenge some from local barns.
Sounds good to me. I'm not much for hunting animals.
I do have one other thought. It may behoove us to procure some sort of currency, whatever the currency of this particular region is, because if we do run afoul of someone, a bit of coin in your hand is the best way to get out of any situation.
If that doesn't work, 3 foot of steel usually helps too. Agreed.
I like you.
Yeah, silver goes, well, it's always a good thing to have. I would say silver goes a long way, but currently in this part of the world, it doesn't necessarily, because everybody's charging exorbitant prices for things. Although you have heard that the prices are considerably lower in Würzburg than the rest of the area. Being a kind of middle-sized city, and it still has its kind of trade routes open to the south, going to places like Munich and such. Würzburg hasn't been hit quite as bad as the outlying areas around Karlstadt by the advancement of the Swedish army. That's what you've heard anyway. Of course, it is still a city that's expecting an army. So, yeah. And it's, of course, held by, the empire. So, for your interests, of course, Marius, it is, of course, a very Catholic city as well. And there's, a lot of witch trials going on there currently as well, which also might interest Diggory. Something to be on the lookout for. But if you want to go hunting, you can. There is the nearest forest area, which would be your best bet for hunting, is looks like less than a mile kind of to the north along the river. Or even if you want to go across the river to the west, kind of over towards the more marshy area there, in that kind of little area in between where the river kind of goes around. You could try hunting over there too.
Well, I think we're suggesting sort of heading to whatever sort of abandoned farmsteads there are from the people who departed. See if we can scrounge anything up from there first, and then possibly, if we need to, then we can move on to the forest and let's see about hunting.
Absolutely, yeah. You can have a look around the farmsteads here around Sellingen. After you have your breakfast, of course. If anybody didn't eat, just keep track of that and mark down no food one day. Although that may change before the day is done. So as you're kind of wandering around from farms, the first farmstead you go to, it's been completely sacked and stripped. You notice the doors to the house have been busted open. It looks like, much like the barn you slept in last night, it looks like somebody has already come in and taken anything that was left behind of any value. And the third kind of farmstead you go to, again, it's the same story. However, you do see the door is slightly ajar to the farmhouse, and you see a small white, partially white face. Anyway, it's also covered in a bit of muck as well. The face of a child looking out the door. And when you look up and see it, he kind of pops back and closes the door real quick. And you hear the sound of his retreating footfalls. And the door again starts to swing slightly ajar as he runs away from it.
Shall we have a look?
Say, come now, child. We won't hurt you.
Be careful. I
What are you
don't
doing?
think that the child will be alone here in this region.
This is none of our business. We shouldn't interact with anyone that we don't need to.
But maybe they need help.
He'll be fine, I'm sure. There's probably adults in there. Let's move on before they come out.
Yeah,
Maybe-
so that's a good point. We don't want to get into any trouble straight away. Yeah.
I suppose.
We could approach them as the good guys regarding these other farms that have obviously been sacked. What has happened?
Well, it's pretty clear what's happened. Someone else had the same idea we did.
This child obviously needs protection.
I'm not dragging some brat along.
You're absolutely right. He needs protection, maybe.
If he's found with us, they'll hang him alongside us. You know I'm right.
Better in good company. Trust me, we'll need somebody to carry our gear once we accrue our math's wealth.
And Francis will kind of raise an eyebrow at this. Well, that's actually not a terrible idea. Having a pack mule is always, someone to come along and carry things.
But how much would such a scrawny child be able to carry?
Well, I used to be a scrawny child myself.
And I've got to admit, I don't know much about the care of infants, but I gather you have to feed and water them.
Well, seems he'd be a local would know more about the area than we do.
Oh, that's a good idea. Good point.
And tell me, Albin, can you speak to the boy? We can find out if he's alone.
Sure, I'll talk to him. I don't see what it could hurt to ask. And he wouldn't be our ward anyway. We could just drop him off at the nearest town if he does need help. So
Cool.
yeah, I'll go knock on that barn door.
It's farmhouse.
Farmhouse.
Yep. There is a barn. You've already checked the barn and found nothing worthwhile left in there. But yeah, okay. So Albin is going to approach the door. Like I said, it's ajar by maybe about say 3 or 4 inches already. Let us
I'll
see.
knock on it.
Okay, you knock. And what is your wisdom?
No bonus.
Okay, well, what's the number?
I'm looking. It is 12.
Okay. You hear a sound inside. You think you hear like a shh, shh, he's coming. And then it's quiet.
Okay.
It's also pretty dark inside. I mean, it's light outside, so there's a little bit of light shining in through the crack of the door. But there's kind of the windows are all covered, like curtains drawn and shutters drawn and closed and stuff like that. But yeah, it's hard to kind of see anything from here.
I'll just call out hello, and we don't mean you any harm. We're just looking for something to eat. Is anyone home?
No reply. They ghost you.
Well, boys, they're not speaking up.
They?
It sounds like there's more than one in there.
I told you he heard you. Shh, quiet.
Well, maybe we should leave them alone then.
I mean, we
Probably
can
came
move
to
on if
steal
you
our
want.
food.
Boys, we don't mean to steal your food. We could offer you money.
See, they have money. Shh.
I'm gonna just push the door open with my halberd,
Okay.
let some light in, and see if I can see anything from the porch or entryway or whatever.
So as you kind of push the door open with your halberd and you're looking in, a little bit of light shines in through the door. You can see it's obviously in a bit of a state of disarray. It's the house is it's kind of dirty. There's a lot of dust around, although you can see children's footprints in the dirt. Some wearing shoes or boots, and others not. You see lots of different tracks through the kind of dirty, dusty floor. Let's see here. What's your intelligence?
It is 15.
Yeah, you have no idea like how many. You see like at least a couple different sizes. Some are small, some are almost fully grown.
You
The
said
the footprints. That is. You don't see
Right.
any people.
All right, I'll let the rest of the gang know this. What do you guys want to do? I mean, they're not coming out. They don't want to talk. So
Well,
should we
we
move
could
on?
just offer our protection. We're moving south or whichever direction we're moving.
They seem to be doing fine on their own. I don't see why we need to get involved in this.
I agree.
Yeah, leave him alone.
Do they have any food?
They seem to have food. I heard them chattering to each other.
Hmm.
Do we have anything we could barter with them for some of their food? I honestly don't know what they'd want, but
I mean, I told them we could possibly offer them money for their food, but none came forth.
What language are you all speaking anyway? Do you all speak English?
yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so English we'll say is kind of your common tongue for your party anyway, per se. Okay, cool.
Have any of the rest of us like heard what the children are saying inside as we sort of-
No, it was just him because he was right up by the door. They were whispering and trying, kind of, how kids whisper sometimes, where they whisper a little too loudly. But yeah,
Well, we could certainly move on.
What language? I'm obviously asking in character. What language were the children speaking in?
they were
Oh,
speaking
okay.
German.
Yeah.
Okay, so in German, I'm just going to say, we have things we could trade with you for your food. If you're willing to trade for some of it.
No reply.
Right, well, I've never been in the habit of forcing myself upon children in any manner, so I suggest we continue on.
Yeah,
Yep.
same. If they don't want to be bothered, they might follow us later. Who knows? Tell
Sounds
them to
all right
find
to me.
us later on the road. We hear the war's coming. It's better to be in a group.
Let's go.
All right.
Start moving on to the next place.
Okay.
Before we leave, I'll leave 5 silver coins at the door from them.
Ooh, how generous, Mark. What do you just go up and place it in front of the door, or do you put it inside
Yeah.
the door, or?
Place it in front of the door.
Okay. Mark it off on your character sheet.
Yep.
Okay. You guys leave that, go to another homestead,
Mm-hmm.
another farmstead. Again, the same. It looks like everything has been taken that could be. Right now, like you see the prices that people are selling food for, it's extremely valuable. So it seems that pretty much anything that was abandoned has already been ransacked. So as you've now been looking around for a couple of hours, and it's getting into the later part of the morning, maybe the hunting idea doesn't sound so bad. Does anybody have fishing gear? There's a river as well. You could try fishing too, but
No.
No other
Would any of
boats
us possibly know
left behind?
spear fishing?
Hmm?
Spear fishing? Would any of us be possibly be familiar with the technique?
you can certainly try. Yeah, I would just use it as a foraging and hunting.
Well, I do have a length of wire on me. If you could improvise a hook, I suppose it could be used for fishing. I don't normally use it for that, but
Was it possible we passed the net anywhere?
No.
I'm taking it that there was no animals on any of these farms either.
Not on the abandoned farms, no. I mean, if you wanted to go to one of the farms that still has people staying at it and steal one of their animals, you certainly could try.
I'm not up to theft yet.
That's for tomorrow.
Depends on how hungry you are, I suppose.
I'll be hungry enough tomorrow.
Well, I'm not much of a hunter.
The hunting is
So-
based on bushcraft.
I'm certainly not much of a tracker, but I can try.
Well, we could head down to the river first and see if we can't shoot or spear something
Sure.
from there, and then move to the woods if we crap out.
Who is the best at bushcraft?
Not I.
I guess we all have one.
Yeah,
I'm thinking that's right.
that's what it sounds like.
I've been known to beat the bush a few times, but not in the manner you're asking.
as we're getting near to the river, can we actually like physically see any fish or?
Oh yeah, there's fish in there. They look fast. Most of them are pretty small too. Be awfully hard to try to spear one of those, you reckon?
I'm going to be sort of like in my mind. I'm mentally going to be sort of working out how fast they are and working out whether they're faster than like a bolt of pure magical energy.
Or like a magical bolt of energy.
Yeah.
Well, refresh my memory since you're playing the spellcaster. Does magic missile require a to hit roll?
Nope.
Then they're not.
Splendid. I'll wait and see if we have any more sort of less taxing suggestions before I go with that. But,
You reckon you could hit them, and you reckon however many bolts you have, you should be able to get one fish each per bolt.
I'll still attempt a spearfish. I mean, how long would it take to attempt a spearfish?
It could take up to all day. Depends on how long you want to stick at it. I basically roll to see a percentage of how much it would affect your travel for the day, how much it would reduce the distance you could travel. And
I mean, I'm willing to try for like an hour, see if we're able to get anything.
Okay. And
What are you guys okay with that? I know it's only
Yeah, I
it's a
can-
one on the it's it's a low roll, but there's always a chance.
yeah, sure.
We had breakfast. We could wait.
Yeah, might as well save his spell slot if it's possible.
Okay, so you're gonna spend
Okay,
like an hour.
I'm gonna-
What's your
I'll spend
bushcraft skill at?
1.
A 1. Okay.
Does anything affect that?
Yeah. There's different things that affect it. That's given the fact that you're fishing in the river. I'm going to give you a +1, so it brings up to 2.
Okay.
But you don't. You're also fishing with a spear, so that's a -1. You're using a melee weapon that's not meant. like for. If you were hunting, it'd be, a missile weapon would be ideal. But if you're doing it with a melee weapon, it's -1. But since you're fishing without a fishing pole, you're fishing with a spear. We would call that a -1. So you have a base on 1 in 6 chance.
Okay.
Roll it.
While
Rolling it.
while
Get it.
he's while
Wait.
he's while
Oh my
he's-
god. I'm not even okay, I'm gonna just see if I can.
No, you're not showing me. You rolled a 1, yeah?
Yeah, I freaking did. I hit the wrong
Very
one. I
good.
hit the
And you're
microphone
going to
instead
spend
of
an
the camera.
hour.
We
You're
were-
going to spend an hour doing it, yeah?
Yeah.
We were hungry.
No luck.
You
no
needed
luck.
to roll.
Oh
that.
damn. Still rolled a 1 and no luck.
Because I rolled to see how long it would take, and an hour isn't going to cut it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's very fair.
What were you doing while he was spending an hour hunting or fishing, Jens?
I'm just telling everybody the story of Jesus Christ and the fisherman while he's
Nice.
fishing, and
He's stumped.
praying to the Lord that he's catching some fish.
I think that's probably the point when the sort of like the biblical tales are sort of getting treaded out. That's the point where I'll sort of like wander a little bit down the river, seeing that our companions not having a great deal of luck with the spear fishing, and I'm just going to sort of like lean over so I'm as close to the water as possible. So like place my hand so it's about like an inch over the water. Then there'll be sort of a bright flash and like 4 dead fish will like float to the surface.
Nice. 4 fish. So I'm going to call that 2 days worth of standard rations as far as individuals go. 4 fish should feed 1 person for two days for a full day, I think. Sounds
Okay,
right.
so I'll pocket like a ration's worth myself, and then I'll sort
So you have
of,
1 day's worth of rations.
yeah, after there's been this flash, I'll sort of come back with like the day's worth of rations of like dead fish looking a bit scorched.
That's
like,
1 day for 1 person, not 1 day for all of you.
Yeah, that's fine. I've pocketed 1 day for myself, and then I've got the other 1 day, and I'm like, I've managed to catch these. Does anyone need
Oh,
these?
praise the Lord!
Yes, indeed.
So who doesn't have food?
I've got 1 day.
Oh, there you go.
Now you have
Take
2
these. At least that'll see you right for another day.
Thanks. I was carving a
Francis-
sharp stick in the meantime.
Francis stomps out of the water. My feet are freezing and I found nothing.
Oh, you found plenty. You just haven't caught one yet. You're so close. So close. So many times. Almost. You think, the way the water ripples and stuff, it must be, changing, the fish aren't where you think they are when you're thrusting your spear down. And yeah. Okay. By this point in time, it is almost noon.
We could continue on down south. There might be more people in less situation.
Well, yes. We may as well keep moving and try and put as much ground under our feet as we can before we have to camp or sleep somewhere for the evening.
Well, if you want to head south, Würzburg is only, about 10 miles away. So you should be able to make that in a few hours of good solid marching, maybe 4 hours.
Sounds good to me.
Sure.
How about we head that way?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
Let's go.
Okay. That is not what I'm looking for. I need this. Würzburg.
Perhaps we'll run into a highwayman along the way who's desperate to give up his hard-earned cash and food.
Perhaps. Let's see. Can I do? Yeah, let's do this here. So as you're making your way down there to Würzburg, I need to. Let's do a smart selection. I don't know why I didn't prepare this before. I probably should have. There we go. So you begin making your way kind of following the main road towards Würzburg, and you're going to get there at about roughly 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So it is the regional capital. It's a city that's rumored to hold over 10,000 people. You can even see in the kind of distance within the city, you can see the Marienburg Fortress. Which defends the city. It's the most formidable fortress in the region. You know that a lot of refugees have headed to Würzburg for this very reason. And you can even still see beyond the city, to the south of the city, in the distance, you can see there's still traffic moving along the roads, the trade routes to the south, towards Nuremberg and Munich and other larger cities. So I'm going to go back here. Just wanted to show you that image. You come upon kind of a disturbing looking scene, as you can see a large tree with a lot of people gathered around, and you can see a woman who has been stripped naked, being hung from the tree, being pulled up by a rope, the rope around her neck, as she's gasping her kind of last breaths. Now, sorry, I had to take that off because otherwise, I won't be able to move my PDF. So, there are about another dozen women or so bound as well, and it's a fairly decent sized group. Looks like maybe a couple hundred, maybe a few hundred people gathered around, kind of watching. You see one man dressed quite well. Looks to be some kind of a noble. He's wearing very clean, very extravagant clothing. And you also see a couple dozen, is it a couple dozen armed guards? A couple dozen armed guards wearing proper, maybe half of them are wearing proper pikeman kind of armor with pikes and muskets. The other half are probably wearing something a little bit more like buff coats and probably armed with pistols and swords. And there's another man who is quite obviously a Catholic priest who is there kind of talking to the women who are being tried for witchcraft and summarily found guilty. Basically just asks them, if they are guilty or not, basically how they plead. One of them says that she's not guilty, so they take her and start kind of, a couple of the guards start forcing her towards a pond nearby, where they then take her over there, still bound, and they start dunking her in the water over and over again, basically by the feet, holding her, pushing her down in the water, and then pulling her up, pushing her down and pulling her back up, and her trial by ordeal, as they call it. And this continues for a while. Seeing you approaching, I assume you're not approaching stealthily, or are you? Are you trying to not be seen by this group of people? So some people kind of point in your direction and say some things, and you see quickly the guards, aside from the two that are dunking the woman repeatedly in the pond with the priest overlooking, the rest of the guards kind of form up between you and the man who was looking quite well-to-do, as it were.
I'll have gone a little bit sort of pale witnessing this scene, and I'm sort of looking at, like, I'm feeling a little bit nauseous, perhaps about to be sick as I'm watching this horrendous barbarity play out.
Mm-hmm.
You see this, guys? I'm stopping. You see this, guys? This is what happens to these poor sinners, and it's a rightful thing to do, because it seems like that these people those women are witches, and this is what should happen to witches. Let's pray for those poor souls.
You don't know that they're witches.
Oh, look at what's happening to them. It seems like a witch trial. So, yeah.
I've never seen a fair witch trial. I'm gonna try to position myself behind everybody in the group, and I don't know if I can nonchalantly load up a bolt to my crossbow. Like, not obviously.
Give me a
So as to
stealth
not look
roll.
aggressive.
Give me a stealth roll.
All right.
I'll give you,
Okay.
because you're moving. You've got a large group and you're moving behind them. I'll give you a +2 on that stealth roll. Does that bring you over 6 or up to 6?
No. And would it be stealth or sleight of hand?
You're right. Actually, probably would be sleight of hand. That makes more sense.
'Cause I do have 2 in that.
I presume you're better at it since you're asking. So yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
What is this guy's name again? Oh yes, Hans von Hatzfeld.
So
I say,
I'm sorry.
seems
What am I?
seems we came at a bad time.
How did you do on your roll?
Oh, sorry. I was gonna ask. What did you say to roll?
You
Just
get a +2. Oh, it's a D6. D6.
Okay.
Yep, and you get a +2, not to the roll, but a +2 to your skill. So what's your skill at? 2.
2. So
So you're at 4 then.
okay, and I've rolled a 4.
Okay, so you managed to load your crossbow without alerting the guards that you're currently armed in the presence of their local
Excellent.
lord, as it were. So
Okay.
well done to you. They don't just charge you and attack you and shoot you all dead. Yes, I'm sorry. Austin, you can roll. You didn't roll already for German? Did I have you do that earlier? Yeah, sure. Go ahead and give me a languages roll.
Okay. I have an intelligence of 15, so that's a
+1.
1. Okay.
I suppose we should all do that.
Damn, I only got a 3. Close, but not quite good enough.
Nope, you do not speak German. If anybody else hasn't rolled already, make sure you write that in your character sheet too. German, no. Or no German. Because you only really roll once per language, essentially. If you were to take some time to try to learn it in the future, I'd probably let you roll it again or something. But for a while, you don't speak German.
I failed my German during character creation. So.
Yeah, I thought I had you guys roll during character creation, but then Austin wasn't here for the character creation, so.
All right.
There we go. That's the nobleman that you see.
So I will
Surrounded
just
by guards.
try to pay very close attention to their words and context, and try to pick up whatever I can from watching these people speak German.
Yeah,
I
on
say-
the
I say-
bright side, a couple of members of your party do speak German, so
I do not. I say, it looks like we came at a bad time. Maybe we should come back at night when they don't kill people in broad daylight.
I'm going to lean over to Valdison and say, it's pretty clear Fancy Boots up there has got a tiny penis. Why else is he mad at all these ladies?
As he's saying that, I'm going to listen into what they're actually saying in German in case there's anything like interesting.
yeah,
I need to
they
relate to the rest of
basically
the group.
they keep kind of dunking the woman, and eventually she stops protesting, and then they pull her up and they throw her back on the shore and drop her there and check, and the one of the guards listens at her chest for a couple of moments, and he goes, "Oh, yep, she drowned," and he says, "Oh, very well, then she is not a witch and may receive a Christian burial." They go to the-
I'll relate this to the rest of the group in between, being like,
They go to the next woman, and she, realizing that the drowning is a much slower and more horrible death than the hanging, she pleads guilty and goes to the rope. As do pretty much all the rest of the women, which they're going to proceed to hang. A total of, including the drowned one lying there on the beside the pond, who will be carried back to town and given a Christian burial, 14 other women are hanged.
Magic is a terrible thing. It's unfortunate that so many young women had to experiment with such a dangerous element and pay with their lives, but it's what is right.
It's the nature of the woman. Read the Bible. Since the first people came to obeyed by God, Eve was the first witch, you can say. So it's a curse of the woman. to sleep with the devil, to talk to the devil, and learn witchcraft. So it's the rightful thing that they die.
Very pious for some smugglers.
I must say, I have encountered in my time a number of men who profess to be proficient in the arcane arts.
Oh, heretics.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't put much stock in the word of any book, but I certainly know that magic is a dangerous thing.
It always astounds me how none of these witches ever use their maligned magic powers to escape death.
Well, they were sprinkled with holy water. They were sprinkled with holy water, and the prayers of Lord were spoken above them, so they can't. The power of God is mightier than the devil's work.
Then what is everyone so afraid of?
I don't know
Because the Bible says kill the witch.
Yes, but I remember you saying a lot of negative things about the Catholics. How can you trust their judgment that they found the witches and not? They obviously just killed an innocent woman that they're going to give a Christian burial to.
The Catholics still read from the Bible, and there's still a law from the Bible. And Martin Luther says, too, that the witch should die. Same as the other non-believers.
Did you move your microphone, Jens? Because you sound a little bit tinny. And
Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry.
That's better. No worries, no worries. Yep, we heard you, though. It was just a little bit distant. Yeah, in fact, they've killed 2 women so far because one is already hanging from the tree. Another one was dunked, and they're hanging them one by one now. The other 13 women, and you see as this happens, people go up then, and the ones who are hanged, usually after they've already expired. Occasionally, maybe while one is still asphyxiating on the rope, as the hanging maybe has not gone as quickly as would be ideal. But crowds of civilians are moving forward, and they strip the bodies and take they take rings and jewelry off of them. Children then go up after they've been stripped, and they play a game of beat the body with sticks as well, from the hanging bodies. And the retinue of soldiers splits in 2. One group of half a dozen pikemen and half a dozen swordsmen start moving back towards the city with the noble in amongst them, and the priest with them as well. The other dozen start walking in your direction. Half a dozen pikemen and half a dozen swordsmen. And they're all dressed in the kind of black and gold of the empire, the Holy Roman Empire.
No,
I believe
you're all unhappy. Oh, go on.
I believe we're about to be interviewed. I don't think they're going to like us much. And we're going to be probably pulled into something.
Well, if it's any consolation, I can't say I'm terribly fond of them at the minute.
I know
I'd
none
probably
of
be
you
fonder of them if they spoke a civilized language.
Well, quite.
Well, we are rather outmanned and outarmed, so please don't start anything. Come on.
If the pikemen actually all have their pikes kind of in the sash on their back, so they just kind of stick out at an angle, and they have their muskets in their hands.
Well, I'm going. I'll say sort of like watching like the people who are like looting the bodies like sort of past them as this is going on. And say, well, I'm glad to see that they're following the second edict of the Bible. After you've killed the witch, loot the witch.
Don't forget the beating with sticks.
Indeed, I'm sure the Bible probably says something about robbing dead bodies, but
waste not, want not.
Well, they don't deserve a Christian grave, so
So the group approach, and they stop within kind of light shouting distance. And one of them calls out in German, Ho there! Who are you who approach Würzburg with arms and armor?
What's he
Marius,
saying?
Marius, since you are like-minded, do you want to speak with them?
Yes, of course. Hallo, meine Herren. A beautiful day, isn't it? We are just travelers. We want just to be here for a night or two, and then we are travel further south to Munich. Isn't it okay?
You look rather well off for travelers in these times.
Well off, man.
I speak with the authority of Prince-Bishop Franz von Hatzfeld of Würzburg.
Oh yes, of course. We are just poor travelers. Isn't it right? Can't we just we don't maybe we can just live outside of the walls for 2 nights or something? If it's okay for you, we're just travelers. Look at me. I'm just a poor man, and these are just my fellow poor people from over the seas. We're just traveling down to the south. We just want to make some merchant deals and whatever. We're no harm.
Those suits of chain armor don't look very poor, nor cheap, nor easy to make.
Well, were you ever in England?
England? No.
Have you ever heard about England? Well, the
Easy bits.
well, there in this part of the world, the chainmail is that expensive. It's a very common thing there.
So you're from England?
No, not me. Those are just travelers that you see. I'm just a poor man and I can't defend myself, especially at those times. And those people are nice enough to help a man like me and to protect me. And yeah, they told me everything about the land.
He
The
kind of
North.
steps forward. This is one of the swordsmen. He doesn't have any weapons drawn. His sword is in its sheath, and his pistol is tucked into his little belt. And he kind of starts walking straight up to you as you're speaking, Marius. You wanted to say something, John?
I was going to say, while this conversation is going on, so like in like a low voice, I'll be like translating the pertinent bits for the rest of the group.
Sure.
So they've sort of got an idea of what's going on.
And he gets right up in your face, Marius. How tall is Marius?
Oh, he's not very tall.
Okay, so this guy kind of towers over you a bit. He's a a soldier. He's one of the Prince-Bishop's guards. So he kind of stinks of sweat, slight undertone of urine, and wine as well. A bit of the smell of wine off of his breath as he says to you, "And how do we know that you're not Swedish spies or scouts sent as a vanguard for Gustavus's army?"
Well, you know that the English. Do you know that the English king isn't a friend of the Swedish? You know that the English hate the Swedish.
Oh, that would be for my lordship to know.
So we are not into politics, and you know that the English don't invade the Holy Empire. So
one by one, state your names. You first, he points at Diggory.
I translate to them. Hey, say your names, please. He points at you.
I'll just nod and say thank you, but I understood him. And then I'll say Diggory Whiteman.
And he goes one by one. So next he points at Albin.
Albin Tresh.
Valdison.
Valdison.
Jasper.
Jasper Proud. Spit.
And Francis.
Francis Sinclair Corbin.
I don't detect any Swedish accents. This is good. We will escort you into Würzburg. You may have access to the city. However, the price is that my lord, Prince-Bishop Franz von Hatzfeld, wishes you to attend him for dinner.
Oh, this is a great honor.
Yes, it is. pray that you live up to it.
Oh, we will.
These are dark times. He gestures at the hanging tree with the what is there now? There's 14 bodies hanging from it. Oh,
Well,
the other group took the other body.
I looked very serious in his eye as well. Those witches, it seems that those witches got what they deserve.
Yes, Satan's agents are everywhere. Be mindful, gentlemen, that you're not led astray.
Okay, I tell them, okay, you understood what he said.
Who doesn't speak German?
I
do not.
Well,
don't
I've still been translating
But
it.
yeah,
So you
you
should
can-
be
Okay,
involved.
yeah, okay. So I think we should wash. It's find a washing house or something. We have to dine with the prince.
And Francis will kind of look up at the pikemen that are still standing there and say, "Do any of you speak English? Are you all none of you all German? No, sprechen Sie Anglais?"
They all just stare at you.
All right. Well, yes, it appears we are fucked, and we must dine with this prince who appears to be potentially crazy. But let's.
Yes, because it's not at all suspicious that the prince would invite a random group of travelers for dinner at all.
Yeah, it's strange, but I think we should do it.
I don't believe we have much choice.
Is there a problem? Do you wish to? And he's speaking again in German. Do you wish to turn away? Do you wish to refuse the prince's invitation?
It's a great honor. We're talking about is there a bathing house or something in the city, because we have to wash ourselves from the long travel, because we can't dine with the prince, the dirt like we are.
This is Würzburg. It's the greatest city in the region. There are plenty of taverns, inns. You may find a washing house.
Okay, thank you. Then could you please guide us then to the city?
We will escort you, please. And he gestures. And some of the men start to walk ahead, and some of them stay behind to walk behind you. Basically half and half, so 6 in the front, 6 in the back. The pikemen will walk in the back, the ones with the muskets. The swordsmen will walk in the front, including him.
I sense a job offer coming.
This whole situation is making my skin crawl.
Well, yes, I can't say watching 14 women get hung was the way I wanted to start my day, but and I still look quite sort of pale and like sickened by the whole affair.
Yeah, one of the bodies is still twitching a little bit occasionally. Just the foot kind of kicks a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I sort of like pull out an incredibly just like a square of cloth, like a really dirty like handkerchief, and sort of like cover my face as we and sort of try and turn away from it as we're walking past.
Is our group generally aware of Diggory's magical abilities?
I have to ask Diggory.
Yeah,
I don't tend to advertise it.
Okay.
For obvious reasons.
I don't know.
Yes. People aren't to be trusted with secrets.
Indeed, as I say, having
So I'm going to say no.
Having sort of fled from England ahead of the witch hunters, I don't really advertise it.
I just see him as a lucky man with a lot on his side.
Yeah. Good at catching fish with his bare hands, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I said, Würzburg is a pretty large city, over 10,000 people that live here, and there's even more now with the refugees who've poured in. It's quite bustling. There is a quite active market as well. You would notice that if you listen to the hawkers and stuff call out the prices, the goods here are only selling at twice the normal prices, with the exception of food, animals, and animal fodder, which are all selling at 4 times normal prices. Still a lot cheaper than the 10 times they were asking for and selling in.
And I think, as we said, we're probably going to look for a bathhouse or a wash house or something similar.
Yep, sure. So they'll escort you in, and then the man will say he'll basically lead you, kind of not to the first inn that you see. He'll wait till you get a little ways into town, and then he'll gesture towards one. He says, "There," he says, "you will find good baths and warm food and cold ale or beer. I guess beer. Ale is more of an English thing. I think they drink beer, even in the 17th century." So he says, "Please come to Marienburg Fortress before the 6th hour, and the guards will be expecting you. You will be escorted to the dining room on your arrival. Good luck," he says, and he turns and starts marching away with his men.
Am I the only one who's a little concerned at the fact that we've just been wished good luck?
You are not. Something's gonna happen. Like I said, this whole thing is making my skin crawl.
So again, just real quick, I just want to go one by one to see who speaks and who doesn't speak German. So Digger, I know, speaks German. Albin, does he speak German? He's Swiss. Yeah, he speaks German. Valdison does not, right?
He does not.
Right. So Valdison does not speak German. Jasper?
No.
Does not. Marius does, and because he is German. Francis does not, right?
Correct.
Okay, cool. I just make a little notation here so that I know in case you're trying to interact with people that you need a translator or something. Okay, sorry. So yeah, the inn is called the Milking Maid. It's got a nice little wooden carving in the sign of basically of a milkmaid and a cow, and of course she's got a big smile on her face, and disturbingly so does the cow. It doesn't really look like a real cow at all. Kind of some strange anthropomorphic things going on with that cow's face. He looks entirely too happy or she looks entirely too happy for someone who's presumably just had her teats pulled. Then again, I hear they enjoy it, so who knows?
Okay.
Yeah, and it's quite busy. If you go in, there's a lot of people inside. There's drinking going on. It's a typical late afternoon in Bavaria, I suppose, almost as if there were no army marching towards the city at all.
Well, I'm not going to be able to afford this. Should we just keep going? Do you think it's possible we could escape the city and continue south?
I don't know if we can escape that easily now, because when the prince wants to see us, I think the whole guard knows who we are now.
Lovely.
Could be money to make from this.
Definitely.
So, who wants to drink a real Bavarian beer?
Well, I suppose that depends on whether you're paying for it.
My
I
thoughts
asked.
exactly.
How much is a beer? This inn?
Let's see. The beer here, I'm going to say, is decent. So, the beer is only going to be 6 copper pieces.
Well,
Okay.
I might be able to afford the drip tray, and that'll be about it.
So that's 6 copper pieces. 10 copper pieces makes a silver piece. For what it's worth.
Okay, I paid for all the beers for the complete group, and
So
I
6
asked-
beers.
Yep.
Okay.
And I
Mark up
asked.
3 silver and 6 copper.
Okay, so I asked how much is a bath per person.
For a bath per person. Let's see here. We're looking for lodging, but we're not going to be paying for lodging. A bath is 1 silver piece per person.
Okay.
Hot water. The best baths in Würzburg. Large tubs.
I can pay for
Clean
that.
brushes. And for
And we get
for an
and how
extra 3 copper, they will clean your one of the housemaids or whatever tavern maids will clean your clothes as well.
can we get how much is a bath whore? It's usual at the time. So,
Yeah. Okay. Well, that brings the price up then to. Well, wait. Does the bath whore just bathe you, or does she do other things?
Oh well.
If you want someone to bathe you, it will cost you 2 silver.
Okay, I bring the beer to the table and I tell everyone the prices for a bath.
I'll sort of look like forlornly at like the 4 copper pieces I have like in my hand.
So you're saying it's 6 silver for a wash and a fuck?
Yeah, without a fuck, it's less.
6 it is.
Someone saved his money for priorities.
Indeed.
Do you right away like?
Yeah, I chug the rest of the beer down and I go for a bath.
You go up to the bar
Mm.
and let's see if the barkeep speaks English. Might from travelers coming around. No. So you just yeah, she looks at you. She's a pretty stocky woman, not bad looking, but she looks like she could probably bench press a table.
So I lean in and I go, and I run my hand into my armpit and go, wash!
And she says something to you in German, which you don't understand.
So
and then when
you
she
said it
realizes
was 1 silver for a wash, right?
it was 1 silver for a bath, 2
3
silver
for the clothes,
2 silvers for someone to bathe you,
and 2 for the other
an
thing.
extra 3 copper to get your clothes washed.
All right.
Yeah.
So I lay down 1 silver on the bar counter, and I mimic washing under my armpits. I roll 3 down, put 3 down, and slide it over in like a separate pile. And I grab like the edge of my tunic and give it like a little ring. And then I look around and I put 2 more down, and I do the finger into the hole in the other hand thing, and give her a wig.
And she just kind of laughs. So you put down 2 silver and 3
6
copper,
altogether.
or you put down
Whatever it costs. He said it's 3
Right.
silver for 2
3
for the.
copper for the clothes.
Oh, okay. So I lay down 4 silver then.
Okay, you laid down 4
Altogether.
silver.
Right.
She scoops it up, and she claps her hands and calls out,
I'll let her have the other
Bridget!
extra change.
And a girl comes over to you and takes you by the arm and starts to take you towards the back of the tavern, back towards
All
where
right.
the bath area is.
Excellent.
Yeah, Francis will kind of watch this go down and walk up afterwards and place the first 2 piles of money down, and then just kind of stop his hand, like put his hand down, kind of a chop line, just stop there and see if she gets the message.
To put down what, 2 piles of money?
Not the whore money, basically. So the
So
bath,
just 1 silver and 3 copper, yeah?
Yeah, 1 silver, 2 copper.
Okay. And yeah, she hands you a it's like a coin, but it's made of wood, and it's got some letters carved into it. You're not sure exactly what it does, but she hands it to you, and she points towards the door that leads back to the bath area.
He'd like to he'll turn back to let's say, I guess, Diggory, since he speaks German.
2 wooden coins, actually.
Excuse me, Diggory, how do you say thank you in German?
I'll tell him.
Yeah.
And he'll just repeat that to the woman before he takes the coins.
Thank you.
Yep. And she replies and smiles and puts your money into a pouch. So you got 2 coins, basically, 1 for designating a bath and 1 designating clothes. The beer's good, guys. Though. It's cold. Well, it's not super cold, but it's chilled. It's obviously come from a cellar. There's no
Yeah, I'll savor my
refrigeration.
beer before I head back for the bath.
Okay. I presume that Jasper just chugged his, and then went straight back for his bath.
Oh
and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. Figure this might be the last chance I get to, wet the weasel.
Yeah.
For the prince skins us for his dessert.
Exactly. Fair enough. Anybody else paying for baths or anything? I know Diggory said he's only got 4 copper.
I'm gonna pay 3 of my 4 copper just to get my clothes washed, and then to be honest, I'm thinking I'm just gonna give myself a quick rinse down out of the water troughs for the animals. I've got a bar of soap in my backpack.
Okay. Yeah. So she realizes quickly that you speak the language. So she's like, just the clothes.
Yes, unfortunately, I'm but a poor, simple traveler.
She
And
hands you a coin with some letters on it, a wooden coin.
Then I'll sort of stop for a bit and I'll say, although I do have this, and I'm going to take out the steel mirror that I have in my backpack.
Oh, a steel mirror. What is that worth? Mirror. She takes it. She looks at herself in it, smiles, plays with her hair a little bit. And she hands you another wooden coin. She says, that will get you a tub. Thank you.
Thank you.
And she puts it down underneath.
Not fucking the whore. I just want to ask her about the city stuff.
2 silver and 3 copper. Yeah.
While while in the bathtub, I'm getting washed. I'm asking her, what's about the? Can you tell me something about the prince that rules over the city? What kind of guy is it?
Well, that is a good question. The prince. Oh, by the way, while he's doing that too, real quick, I think the only ones left out is Valdison, yeah?
Yes, I'll be taking a walkabout, getting the lay of the city.
Okay, you're going to go.
Yeah, me, my cloak, and my pointy stick.
Okay. No problem at all. Let us see here. What can I tell you about the prince? One second. Prince. I'm still going to see if I had any background information on him. So yeah, what were you going to say? I
was just going to say, before Valdison departs, I'm just going to sort of like tap him on the arm, and I'll just so I'm sort of getting my stuff ready to go for my bath, and I'll say, Valdison, did you manage to salvage much from the boat? I know I pretty much just grabbed what was within arm's reach.
No, I just have my pistols.
And I'll rummage around in my sort of large backpack, and I'm just going to take out like a fairly sort of standard sort of sword that I grabbed up from the boat. So I was like grabbing stuff and like ramming it in my pack, and I would well, if you can use this, I mean, I'm really no good with it at all. I just sort of, like I say, I just grabbed whatever was near to hand, if I'm honest.
You should wear it though. Just the same.
I wouldn't really know what to do with it, if I'm perfectly honest. But my education didn't really run to sword play or anything like that.
Yeah.
Well, probably more dangerous to myself.
Just the same. It keeps others at bay.
Very well, if you're sure.
I am for now. Should we get into anything, we could change it. But when walking around town, you should have something on you.
Okay. And then I'll sort of nod at him and I'll head off and go for my bath.
Okay. So yeah, the prince will say, "Oh, well, he's a very just and very righteous Christian man, of course, doing his best to stamp out the heresy going on, whether it be satanic or Christian. You know, the Protestants."
Oh yeah, the Protestants. All right. Is it usual that he invites people from other countries to a diner?
Well, I suppose if they were people who were important, why would he not? He is the Prince-Bishop, who basically rules the city here.
Okay, can you tell me something about? Is there?
Why do you know? Do you know someone who's going to dine with the prince tonight?
Oh, I just heard that he invited some strange people from overseas to a diner. This is just what I'm just interested. You know, I'm never in Würzburg, and I'm just interested.
Of course, of course, of course. That accent. She says you're from you're from the west, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm from near Cologne. I'm from the Bergisches Land. Yeah, it's a very, very nice countryside.
Mm, I see. And have the Swedes driven you down here?
Yes, the Swedes.
They say they're coming here to Würzburg.
Oh,
Gustavus
yes.
Adolphus himself. They say he has 20,000 soldiers, and that they wish to avenge the sacking of what was it called again? Magdeburg, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, Magdeburg.
They're coming, and I think they are even more than that. So it's a terrible heretic army. Yeah.
Even more. Her eyes get real big. Well,
Yeah,
surely they'll never be able to penetrate Marienburg Fortress. The Prince-Bishop will protect us.
Oh, of course he will. Is there a bishop in this town, by the way?
Oh, the Prince-Bishop, of course.
Ah, okay. He's bishop too. Oh,
Yes,
so
that's why they call him Prince-Bishop.
Yeah, yeah.
silly.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, that of course. So he's under
We have
direct
many priests as
control.
well, and there are cathedrals and
Yeah. So he's under direct control of the Roman of the Pope.
well, of course,
Oh, okay.
we're all servants of His Holiness.
Yeah, of course. But you know what I mean.
You are Catholic, aren't you? She says.
Yes, I am. Like every good Christian.
I don't know much about Cologne. I've never been there.
Oh, you should see the dome there. It's a huge cathedral.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to know.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Everybody else, except for Valdison, of course, gets their clothes washed at least. Most everybody else gets a bath, while Diggory, you kind of walk around until you find the stable. There's a stable actually probably attached to this particular building. So.
Oh, well, it's all right. I got offered the bath after trading the mirrors, so I'll.
Oh yeah, you did. Sorry, I forgot.
But I'm going to make sure when I do have my bath that I keep my backpack nearby, because obviously it's got like my book and other like vital things in that I need.
Right. Make sure nobody else messes with it.
Yeah.
No problem.
Best believe that's not going out my sight.
Yeah, of course. Very good. So, Valdison decided to go wandering. Let's just see something here. Just to see if anything happens while you're out roaming about. Yeah, let's see here. So you do come across an interesting scene as you're walking about the city. You find an area where there's a bunch of merchants, also selling wares and trading. But you notice that they seem to be speaking with a really heavy accents themselves, and they look a little bit different from the locals as well. They don't seem to be local. Give me a language check, Valdison. Because you notice when they speak to amongst themselves, they're also speaking a different language completely.
I rolled the magical one.
Magical one. Okay, yes, you've heard Hebrew before. These are Jews. And you can see they're trading jewels and such with some of the locals, and you'll also see that there are some armed guards standing near them who are wearing the imperial colors, who seem to be protecting them, but also kind of eyeing them with some disdain as well. You would probably know that obviously the Jewish people are of a different faith. They're not Christian people. However, you know that in some more civilized places, they're still given sanctuary and free worship and such, but they pay a lot of taxes for that privilege. And you're going to assume that Würzburg must be one of those type of places. And that's probably why they have Imperial Guards standing near them.
Not so bad.
But you would also notice, I'm sure it would catch your eye, that they seem to have a lot of money and a lot of jewels and stuff.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
How many of them are there? Does it say how many there are? Yeah, there are 7 of them. Probably a family unit, you reckon? Looks to be 2 are elderly, another 2 who are adults, and then the other 3 are aged from maybe 10 to 16. So children, but not young children.
gotcha. I've encountered Jews before then.
Yeah, I would say so, probably, since you seem to know a little bit of Hebrew.
So I recognize the language, or I just
Yeah.
know like shalom, that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, it's up to you. You can communicate. It's surprising because you're not very bright, are you?
No, I'm illiterate.
It's interesting. So obviously you must have. You can tell me, or you can decide later. You don't have to tell me why. But for some reason, you have encountered the Hebrew language before, and you even have learned some of it.
Well, being raised on the streets of England, maybe I encountered some other
Streets
Jewish
of England?
folk.
I presume you mean the streets of London, or
Yeah.
Sure.
Those streets. Other Jewish children that I played with when I was younger. Until they realized I was poor and not worthy of playing with anymore.
Oh.
Either way, I'm not really in a state. I'm pretty stinky to talk to them, but I'll note them and come back to them later. See if anything
Sure.
falls.
Yep. Otherwise, I mean, it's a city. You've been to cities before.
Mhm.
So this is kind of a medium-sized city. It's nowhere near as big as London, but it's one of the biggest cities you've seen. It's probably smaller than Hamburg at this time, but it's definitely probably the largest city you've seen in this region anyway.
Yeah. Should I want to escape a hanging or anything, that's particularly what I'm looking for, like escape routes and such like that.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I mean, it's got all the trappings of a city. There are alleyways and things and such. Possibly in some areas, some neighborhoods, the rooftops are pretty close together. Or you could probably even do a rooftop escape for a while.
Mhm.
I presume. What do you mean by escaping hanging? You want to walk all the way to the fortress?
No,
to
I'm
see
saying
there?
is the city's completely walled? Yes. So there's gates.
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Just how difficult it would be to get out the gates and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, all the gates are manned. They're all guarded.
Mm-hmm.
So it wouldn't necessarily be easy, but you could probably just climb over the wall, maybe a bit of rope or something to get down safely.
All right. All right, great. So you said those Jews, they had an armed guard that were from the town,
They
or
had
they had their
six armed guards actually.
and they had their own.
No.
Those-
These were Imperial guards. They were wearing the black and gold and.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, just as I pass by, I'll greet them, like shalom.
Oh, they're very pleased to see that you know some of their language, and yeah, they ask you if if you're seeking any other services. Would you like to buy some jewels or some gems, perhaps, or are you looking to they offer? No, yeah, that'd be it. They're just selling basically trading coin for gems and jewelry.
I'm currently in the market for employment, actually, but maybe later, should I find a decent job. Oh, yeah. But peace be with you, and safe travels.
Oh, would you like? I have this this cloak that that I got from a local. It's a very good, strong cloth, and he holds up this hooded cloak, this big, dark wool. Well, yeah.
Oh, he's still trying to sell me?
Yeah, sure.
Same. Mine keeps the rain off, but thanks. And I'll move on.
Okay, no problem. So, you all have had, well, except for Valdison, who comes in still smelling of the road. The rest of you had bads.
Mm.
Some have had
I
more.
put my good health to use, having a very good time.
Yes, absolutely. So,
I slip her extra silver where no one else can see it
sure.
after we're finished.
Where not even she can see it.
Oh, yeah.
Ew.
So Jasper even has a big smile on his face.
Mm-hmm.
And by that point in time, it's probably 5 o'clock at least. Have about an hour. Well, he did say to arrive before 6 even.
Well, shall we?
I feel we're as ready as we will be. We should make sure to be there early enough so as not to offend our host.
Well, yes, if we're going to go through with this, I agree.
I can't see what alternatives we have.
No,
All of those
no.
gates are most likely guarded and impossible to escape without his knowledge.
Quite right. Quite right.
Always
Fair
remember,
enough.
with God on our side, nothing will harm us.
Not impossible. The fact that the guards left us to our own, I think they assume we're mercenaries.
Yes, I will say that has eased my mind somewhat. I was worried that they may be protecting the people of the town from us or something of the sort, but the free reign has eased my mind.
One suggestion, gentlemen. They're probably going to disarm us, so make sure you have anything you don't want to get lost stowed. I'm bringing my weapons, though, so do as you will.
Okay, so when we go, I'm going to go in with, because I think that's a very good point. When we go, I'm going to have my sword and my dagger and various other bits on show. The garrote I have, though, I'm going to basically try and wrap that around my arm so it's concealed.
Okay. No problem. So yeah, when you arrive at the gates of the fortress, you walk just towards the center of town. It's easy to see pretty much from anywhere in town. It towers over everything else, and even still, the city is quite bustling. It's quite busy. You can definitely tell that a lot of the people are refugees. There's a lot of poor people here in the city, even more so than usual. The proportion of poor to not as poor is extremely high on the poor side, of course. But you can make it to the fortress unmolested. The fortress itself is quite impressive, quite large, and the Imperial Guards who meet you as you approach the gate would be in the full like pikeman's armor. Probably even have the lobster pot helms and all, pikes and muskets available. And once you arrive, of course, they would question you as to why you're approaching. And once you say that you were there for dinner, they would ask your names, and they would recognize the name of Marius, who was the one who did the speaking to the guardsman earlier, and say, yes, Marius +5. Yes. The prince is expecting you. A couple of these men will escort you. However, you must leave all of your weapons here at the gate. You may keep your armor.
Yeah, so I'll sort of take off all my weapons apart from the garrote, which I'm keeping on me.
Yeah.
And seeing Diggory do this, was like, oh, are we to expect it returned on our exit from the facility?
Do you speak German? You don't, right?
No, I'm asking like Diggory or someone who speaks it.
Yeah, I'll translate.
Of course, we're not thieves. We simply cannot allow you to walk around the fortress armed when we do not yet know your intentions or your allegiance.
Diggory, ask him if he wants my dagger as well, or will they be supplying eating utensils?
I'll turn to them and I'll say, my friend wishes to know whether a small knife used for eating is permitted, or whether eating utensils would be provided by His Honor, the bishop's household.
The Prince-Bishop has plenty of utensils for you. We would ask that you leave all weapons here.
No, they want you to leave the dagger as well.
Fine. Leave my shield and sword and dagger.
Aside from the garrote, which is wrapped around Diggory's arm, is anybody else trying to smuggle any potential weapons in?
I have a dart that is basically sewn into my armor on my left arm.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like that always backup in case of emergency thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Right. Stealth. I'll give you +1 though, since you had preparation in advance. Something you have sewn in. Just see if they notice it.
Nope.
You
Good.
succeed? Yep. Nope. They don't notice
Yep.
it. They don't search you that thoroughly. They don't check you that thoroughly. So no problem.
I have a sling that I'm wearing as like a necklace, as if it's like a rope necklace, like just like hooked in the back.
Right. Yeah. Just kind of. No, they won't take that off you.
Okay.
Do you have it? Do you have any stones for any? Bullets?
Yeah, there's a pocket there. Like I have a little pouch of bullets that's like in my pack.
Okay. Yeah, he finds those, and he says, "What are these?"
Oh, yes, of course. Sorry, and he'll start to unhinge the sling and place it in the pack with the bullets.
Yes, he takes that and puts it with the rest of your weapons. Yep. Okay.
The rest they can have.
Good. Then you are taken into the fortress directly to a dining room, which has a very large table. It looks like you could probably sit about 20 people at it. But you are directed by the guards to sit at 3 seats to the right and 3 seats to the left, basically, of the head of the table. Please, to make yourselves comfortable, the prince will attend you shortly.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to take a seat furthest away because I don't speak German and I'd be a very poor conversation.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
That, and I want to have space to get the heck up.
They
And start.
actually, one of them puts his hand on Valdison's shoulder, and he says he is to sit in this seat. He gestures to one of the farthest of the three seats. And he looks at you, Marius, and says, he smells.
Oh, of course. I tell him, hey, you have to sit there because you smell.
I laugh.
Marius, would you mind possibly asking if it would be all right if I smoked? I
Of
don't want
course.
to offend.
Of course. Is it okay if my friends smoke?
Of course.
Mm.
Yes, you can.
Sweet.
He'll nod appreciatively and pull out a pipe. Start to pack it.
I'm going to follow suit as soon as they're given the permission. I'm going to grant.
I see that happening. I pull out my pipe as well.
Okay. And these guards, then there are 6 of them. They'll kind of form up. Basically, they'll stand maybe 10 feet behind each of you. One per person.
Francis will sort of lean back and offer the pipe up as if to no, of course not, you're working.
Stares at you. Yeah. And then eventually as you guys are sitting there smoking for a few minutes, then the Prince-Bishop, will walk in again, as the man seen in the image on the screen now.
Stand up.
And he walks
I'll
in
follow suit.
with another couple of guards who will kind of walk him up to the table, and he will look at you all. Is anybody not standing when he walks in?
No, I'm going to stand and do that sort of like half bow.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll stand as well.
Yeah,
Nope.
I'm pretty
Me
familiar with etiquette, so I'll definitely try to be as deferential as possible.
As dirty and stinky as I am, I'll do my best.
Yeah, no problem. You may not be clean, but you at least have manners. Okay, yep. So then he'll nod and say, please, be seated. I am Franz von Hatzfeld, Prince-Bishop of Würzburg. He's speaking in German.
I translate. Excuse me, Prince. I translate to this Englishman, if it's okay.
And he says, no, I speak a little English. It's not very practiced. It's been a while.
Oh, of course.
But does everyone speak English? He says, looking at all of you. He says it's in English.
It's an honor to meet you, sir. An honor to dine with you. We are most appreciative of the offer.
Well, perhaps save your thanks until after you have the meal. I have a new cook.
Well, we've been traveling for some time, Your Honor. I'm sure whatever is provided, we'll be most grateful for.
Indeed, yes. I saw you at the mound during the trial. That is why I asked my man to invite you here. He says, where indeed have you traveled from, if you don't mind me asking? And servants will come out and put down a starting course in front of all of you. It's actually a soup, and it's a hot soup, and it's pretty heavily spiced as well. It's quite flavorful.
I imagine I'll do that that English thing of trying like a spoonful and then realize it's like a bit hotter than I'd realized, a bit spicier than I realized.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be sort of like drinking whatever water or whatever there is like profusely.
Please help yourselves to bread. There is more I can have brought out if you need. And there are baskets of bread on the table. It's that really dark, like whole grain bread that's really popular in Germany.
Thank you, Your Worship.
That's a lot of flavor.
Is it not to your liking?
Oh,
It,
it's fine.
I like
After it.
So are you all from England, he says.
some of us are. We come from different places, Your Worship. As you can tell, we're used to somewhat blander fare coming from England, but thank you. It is most gratefully received.
Well, your country is an ally of the Empire.
Of course.
And of course, I know that you are a little more local, Marius.
Oh yes, I'm from the Cologne.
Oh, I see. Cologne during this time period, was that a Catholic
Catholic.
city? Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
Okay, cool. Yeah. I got it. Cool. Just double check.
the city was ruled by a bishop.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, cool. Just double checking. Very well. So, so what brings you to Würzburg, and what brought you together?
Well, I was wanted to travel down to Munich, fleeing from the hordes from Sweden, and those humble men helped me the way down here. They were traveling to Munich.
I see. Munich is a fine city. Well, he says I would be remiss not to tell you why I have asked you to come here. Aside from the fact that you looked to be an interesting assortment of individuals, you seem like people who are able to handle themselves, capable, as it were, judging by your arms and armaments, or armor and armaments. I would say you're not averse to a bit of trouble.
Mm. Indeed.
Well, I would
Dealing
say
with
we're,
it, not getting into it, of course.
what sort of trouble is it you find your fair city in?
Well, you may have heard the word on the street that there is an army of Swedish heathens marching. It is said that this army is led by King Gustavus Adolphus himself, and it is said that he is coming to exact revenge for the destruction of the city of Magdeburg 6 months ago.
Mm.
Have you heard of the situation in Karlstadt?
Just heard about, but what exactly do you mean?
Well,
I just heard that it is that the war hit it very bad.
well, then you have not heard all. Indeed, the entire region north of here has been hit quite bad by the war, the conscriptions, the necessity of supplying uh, food and goods for the army of the empire. However, more worrying is that 10 days ago, a group of 7 witches took over the city, somehow deposing the rulers who were in place. It is said now that these 7 witches govern Karlstadt and have bewitched the people of that once fine city.
Mm.
Bewitch them how?
I do not know, for I have not been able to spare the attention to deal with the situation in Karlstadt with Adolphus marching on my own city. I've had some diplomatic contact with Adolphus's army, and he has been apprised of the situation in Karlstadt, and he believes that we are giving leave to these satanic bitches to rule the city that neighbors us. He has said that he will spare my city if I were to deal with the problem and the people in Karlstadt.
Mm.
However, I know that Adolphus is a smart man. He could not be the king of an empire, the king of a country as great and powerful as Sweden, without being sly in his own way. I think he is trying to trick me. He knows that it would weaken my forces greatly to take Karlstadt, and it would make me unable to offer even a token resistance to his army if he decided to then march on Würzburg. And I have over 10,000 lives, more now, with the refugees pouring in from the countryside, that depend on that protection. No, I cannot afford to turn my attention to Karlstadt.
Hmm.
However, if someone else were to go there, I would offer 1,000 silver pieces per head on those 7 witches.
1,000, you say?
10,000 if you bring me all 7, he says, setting down his now empty bowl of soup. He looks around to see if you've all finished.
Francis is sitting somewhat mouth agape with a hunk of bread in one hand and the spoon for the soup in the other, just somewhat like almost staring at 10,000 for 7 heads.
Yes, the heads of 7 witches, mind you, but yes. I will then present them on spikes outside of the city so that Adolphus may see them as he approaches, a sign of good faith that we are at least united in the fight against Satan. After all, though they are heathens, the Lutherans are not all bad. We all share a hatred for the devil and his servants.
That's true.
I hope then, and I would send a message, of course, to him, that he would spare my people and my city and turn back his army. Please, he gestures for the servants to come and take away the soup. And they will then, other servants will come closely behind, bringing out roasted meats and vegetables and potatoes and jugs with milk and of course beer.
Well, can you tell us more about the switches? Because when you give us 10,000 for 7 heads, are those so powerful? Are they controlled by Satan directly?
Well, you saw us deal with 15 of these witches this morning. However,
Sorry,
know-
I don't mean to interrupt, but I believe it was 14. The first one that we witnessed appeared to have been cleared of the charges.
Oh, yes, of course. She was innocent. Listen, there's a good chance that more than just her were innocent, but in these times we cannot take any chances. Servants of Satan are everywhere. Karlstadt is an example of this. I suspect, given that they were able to depose the government and take over the city, smaller than Würzburg it may be, but Karlstadt is a small city nonetheless. I suspect that these witches are a bit more dangerous than the ones that we deal with on a daily basis here in Würzburg.
Are there any reports about them? Like what powers they have? Others than you said that they control the people. Are they like fully controlled?
There are many rumors and stories, but as I said, I have not sent any of my agents into the city since the 7 took over. The agents that were in the city at that time have not returned.
Well, they must be powerful enough to have taken over a city and disposed of rulers there.
Yes, indeed. The rumors I've heard are that they have outlawed war in the city, and that none of the citizenry are allowed to have weapons within its walls. I don't think that they will find Adolphus willing to cooperate with this law, if indeed this is true.
So
I know that there are 7 of them, but that is why they are called the 7.
So we have to somehow enter a complete city without weapons. With 7 witches. And
It
then
is
kill
said that once per day, people are allowed to come and go from the city. They have closed all but one gate to the city, I'm told. Though I have not sent anyone in, I have had eyes around Karlstadt. There's a rather sizable refugee camp, which is formed up across the river near the one gate that still functions.
Excuse me, my lord. Do your scriptors have a map of Karlstadt or something? Maybe a city map?
Yes. I could arrange for one.
That would be very helpful.
Hmm. So you're going to try, yes?
Oh, for 1,000 silver for sure. And
A
then you
thousand
offered
per head, 10,000 if you bring me all 7.
exactly at least 1,000. We could do that.
It's hard to pass up that kind of payday.
Do you have descriptions of these women?
I have names. Descriptions I am rather light on.
Hmm.
There are other rumors and other stories, but again, it is hard to say what is true and what is not. It is said that they command beasts not of this world, demons perhaps. Although in all of the witches I have dealt with, I have never seen such a thing. It is said that there is all kinds of debauchery going on in the city now, since they have taken over. Perhaps this is how they have won over the citizens. I do not know. The refugee camp, though, is a result of the fact that the city itself is crowded. There is no more room, per se, for people. So you will, if you do go there, I'm sure you will find it much less comfortable than Würzburg.
No doubt.
I can tell you that before 10 days ago, when the 7 took over, the population of Karlstadt was around 1,500 souls. If at all possible, I would like to spare as many of them as possible. Although they have been led astray by the devil, they were good Catholics before the 7 came along.
I do not mean to sound impertinent, Your Grace, but I must ask. We did travel from the north, and there is a level of, what is the word? Price gouging, inflation that seems excessive. And if we are to survive heading north, we may need some sort of monetary assistance in order just to reach Karlstad, in order to take on these 7 that you speak of.
You're asking me to sponsor you. A down payment.
Just something that will allow to complete your will as desired. Something that will allow us to reach our destination safely and in the best of strength in order to face the challenge ahead of us.
Well, if it is armaments or armor or weapons that you wish, I'm sure I could arrange a fair a deal for you here in Würzburg. Perhaps a loan could be negotiated as well, but there would have to be some showing of good faith, of course. After all, I'm not about to just give you some of my best weapons and armor and then for you to disappear or perhaps even join the Seven or the Swedes.
By the way, is the fastest way to the city of Karlstadt by boat over the river?
Yes, a riverboat would probably be the fastest. There is a group that travels there every day of merchants.
So
They go and trade at the refugee camp. They don't go into the city itself. My information comes from that group.
I see.
I do not ask for your finest weaponry. All I ask is some food and supplies to get us there. Perhaps a strong mule to carry it. Something that will allow us to safely traverse.
Rations and a mule. This is not much to ask.
or could we have a small riverboat for us? I'm just asking that just let it's not,
You go from a mule to a riverboat.
just
You
small
are
one.
you are a bold man indeed, Marius.
I'm just asking.
Yes,
My lord.
yes. I will not give you a boat. However, I could make sure you received passage with the merchants, free of charge. Some food, and perhaps a pack mule, and some bags or a cart could also probably be arranged.
That is most gracious of you and much appreciated.
And if I provide these things, of course I'm taking the risk that you will return nothing. I would ask, of course, for your vow on the Holy Cross that you would do your best to keep good faith with our agreement. At the very least, I ask that you return to Würzburg in less than a week to apprise me of the situation if you are unable to obtain any of the heads of the Seven.
Sounds reasonable to me.
For my investment, you can bring me some news from within the city at least. Yes?
Sounds good.
Yes.
And if anybody's actually eating the food, it's all pretty good.
Oh yeah, I'm stuffing as much as I can.
He's
You got for the meal you eat.
Prince-Bishop. He's got the best fare in the city, probably. So
Yeah, we don't know when we're going to get a chance to eat like this again. So
Yeah, hell of a lot
Right.
better than gamey rabbit. So I'm definitely eating up while I can.
yep, or slightly magic missile seared fish. Yep.
Tastes a little like ozone, doesn't it?
I think I've invented the barbecue early.
So then, after you eat, there will be a dessert course. What do they have for dessert in 17th century Germany? Do you think, Jens? Probably some cakes.
Fruit.
Yeah, fruits. Yeah.
Fruit cheese.
Yep. And then he would summon for. Oh no, he is a bishop himself. Sorry, never mind. He wouldn't need to summon a priest. He's the bishop. He will then pull out the Holy Bible and ask you all to take a vow with your hand placed on the Bible to
Of course.
keep up your end of the bargain.
Yeah, Francis will do it. He was raised Catholic, but this means very little to him. He kind of blames his faith for his family's ouster from grace, so he's not particularly devout. But he'll play the go along with the motions.
Okay.
Well, I say it means even less to me, but I'm quite happy to go through it if it makes me feel better.
Yeah, and fortunately, Bibles do not burn magic users. He does not anoint you with holy water. He's not giving you a blessing. He's just asking you to swear an oath. So, okay, good. Very well. He says, well, I have it. I have been told that the Swedes will be here in a week, so I do hope that you will be back before then.
Yeah, I don't want those rotten fish suckers to steal my bounty, I'll tell you.
I wish you good luck and Godspeed. I don't know if they said that. Probably
If
not.
we do not return, it's because we've fallen at the hands of these foul witches, but we will bring as many of them down with us as we can.
Of course. Very well. Then he will provide you with a mule, with some saddlebags and a cart.
Nice.
And let's see, there are 6 of you.
Hmm.
He will give you 36 days worth of rations. That's individual meals, so 6 days each.
Nice. Well, lads, look, we got a job.
The merchant's ships leave in the morning, slightly before dawn. So he will give you rooms in the fortress to stay in.
Excellent.
Let's see. Oh yeah, Marius, you were kind of. He sees you as the leader of the group only because you were the first one to speak, and you know.
Okay.
What's your charisma?
Wit. Oh, I'm sorry. 9.
9?
9.
Okay. Yeah, he gives you 3 rooms with 2 beds each.
Okay.
It's not super nice rooms, but
There's rooms in a palace.
it's a lot better than sleeping in a barn. A fortress.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's probably better than sleeping in some pest-ridden bed in and downtown too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so then I assume there is a bath available somewhere here then?
Yes, actually, a bath could be arranged if you ask for one. He will be more than happy to oblige you. The only one who shows up to dinner in the fortress smelling of piss and sweat. Yeah.
Haha, you guys paid for it.
Yeah, you got a mule with some saddlebags and a cart.
Excellent.
I saw Austin typed in the chat because he had cut out for a bit. In fact, I know Philip, you asked for a brief recess soon. I think we're going to wrap this up in a few minutes. Just
Okay.
yeah.
Cool.
My goal would be usually to run the game for approximately 3 hours. I know we started about a half hour late today because we were getting a few things out of the way, but
No worries.
yeah, I think the best place to pick up the next session would be departing for Karlstadt if you actually go there.
Sounds good.
You guys plan to do a runner or something, but yeah.
Not yet.
Is there anything else you want to take care of basically before departing in the morning? Yeah, it'll be like an hour before dawn. You'll have to go to start heading down to where the ships are to load up, especially since you need to load a donkey and cart onto this merchant
Preparing scrolls.
riverboats. Preparing scrolls?
scrolls. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I'll also be studying my academic texts.
Very good.
I'll just chug over my gear. And other than that, I got the 3 of my top 4 things I love to do taken care of today. So
Right, and everything gets provided to you or is given back to you that you left at the gate when you depart. So
excellent.
they don't steal any of your weapons or nothing goes missing. Everything's returned. So
Excellent.
And they were going to
I'll
give us a map of the city.
oh yes, they do. In fact, and I think I actually sent it to you in the chat before, but there it is on my screen currently. But I'll send that.
Alright.
I'll send that into the chat again just in case we got. Don't worry. I mean, okay. I know there's numbers on there and they're sideways. It's because I turned the map so that north would be up.
Yeah.
Because I don't know why the map was made so that north was to the left. I think originally I can't see the numbers; it's too small on my screen. But yeah, I'll drop that into the chat as well.
Cool.
All right.
And if you want to, once you're in the city, if you want to go about and find out what those numbers all represent, that's no problem. The map itself would not be labeled; it'd just be kind of laid out like such, without the numbers per se on it. But
Right.
yep, cool, good stuff. So,
Awesome.
thanks for playing. I will end the broadcast. Philip and Austin, I know you guys joined us for the session. If you want to play, you're more than welcome to continue playing with us. We're going to be doing this every week.
Yeah, I'd love to.
So yeah,
I'm perfectly happy to stumble backwards into another campaign,
yeah, sure. You're welcome to join us again next week as well.
especially with Lamentations, where characters have such a short life expectancy.
Well, I'll talk to you
Mhm.
about my optional rules here after the broadcast. But I am using an alternate deaths chart. I think you saw it already, didn't you? So
Oh yeah, I did.
it's
I did.
optional. I
Oh,
mean, if your
right.
character does die and you want to just die, you can, of course, die. But if not, I have a D20 chart that you can roll on, which includes there's a 1 in 20 chance that you do just die. But then there's a 19 in 20 chance that instead you just suffer some kind of permanent injury or effect. But yeah.
Cool.
So I'll end the broadcast here, but I'll hang out to chat if anybody wants to chat afterwards. So
Cool.
excellent. Stop broadcast.